Hey guys, and welcome to another video. And today I'm going to show you how we're making a Dragon Priest mask from Skyrim. But before we get started, make sure to smash the like button and to also subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on other videos and tutorials, and it also helps me a lot. Really appreciate it. So, hope you enjoy the video. Let's get to it.
Alright, so obviously you're gonna need a mold. Here I have the mold, which is made from a Rebound 25 silicone, and the hard shell is made from a freeform air, both products from Smooth-On. Then you're gonna need a resin. Here I have the Smooth-On Onyx Fast. If you're from Germany, you can get Smooth-On from Calpo. I have them linked down in the video description. You're gonna need some cups, and you need something to stir it. Here I have like some wooden stirring sticks. Then I would recommend some gloves and also some paper towels. The scale and the mold release is in this case not needed, because the Rebound 25 doesn't require a mold release, and since you could either measure the resin by weight or by volume, and they have a very good volume part A to part B ratio, I'm gonna use the volume and just eyeball it. So now I'm preparing the cups. Also make sure that you really take your time and give the resin a really good shaking before you use them. So right now I'm using the Smooth-On 65, I think it's D, yeah, 65D here, because I had a little bit of the 65D left, which wasn't enough for a full mask, so I decided to make the first layer of the mask using the 65D. My second and third layer will be made out of the Onyx. You could even not just mix them layer by layer, but you can also pour them in at the same time to create a marble effect. So now I'm getting my Onyx. Like I said, I'm just eyeballing it by volume, filling them into the cups, looking at the height, and then pour in as much B as I poured in from part A. And for the people do I have to be 100 or 1000% precise with the weight and the volume? I mean, in my experience, I do really like the product because they have a fair amount of, let's say, forgiveness. So if you just eyeball it, or you even if you use the weight, and let's say you have a 1-to-1 weight ratio, and it's not 100%, like you have 35 grams of one part A and you have 36, 37 of part B, it's still gonna work. In my experience, I never had any issues with it. So the products are really easy to use, and which I really appreciate. Alright, so now we're preparing for the casting. Getting everything in place, make sure you have everything at hand that you need. So now pouring part A into part B. So as soon as you pour part A into part B, the chemicals will start to react with each other. So now the clock is running. You can't really see it that good, unfortunately, here, but I'm just stirring part A and part B together. Take your time. The clock is ticking, but you really want to mix those resins. The good thing here is both part A and part B have a high viscosity, very liquid, so you can easily mix them together. Now I'm taking the mold pouring in the resin. And the reason why this is either called a slush or a rotary casting is because basically you're now rotating the mold so that the resin covers the entire mold. Make sure that you really go in all the edges and corners. You really want to cover everything, and then you just keep rotating it. You really want to cover everything over and over again, because each time the resin flows over it, it leaves a little bit of a material on it. So you just keep rotating and adding a little bit of materials everywhere. And you just keep rotating it. Also, make sure that you have like solid or a sealed underground, because it can happen that some of the resin, depending on how you rotate it and also how your mold is made, some of the resin sometimes will tip out of the mold. You want to make sure that you have a sealed underground. Also, put on some gloves that you like some working gloves, because like the resin is liquid, and once it cures, it gets solid. So if resin gets onto your clothes, trust me, it will stay there. So you don't want to use any fancy or expensive clothes. Use your work clothes. So while you're rotating, you can also see the resin will go from liquid to a more like honey viscosity, and then it will stop. You don't have to wait until it's completely cured, but once it stops moving, then you can go and start with your second layer. As you can see here, I just mixed my part A and part B from the Onyx and poured it on top of the 65D. And then it's the same. You just keep rotating, covering everything, trying to make sure that you get an even coat on all sides of the mask. Since it's the same process now over and over, I just speed the video up here so we save a little bit of time. Also, if you noticed the cutting board, you see that there was stripping out some of the Onyx resin, and I'll show you that later. So, now the layers are done. Very cool thing about the 65D and the Onyx resin is they only take about 30 minutes to completely cure. I like to give them an hour, like just to make sure.
1 hour later.
So now we're back here. The good thing about the resin parts that miss the mask is that I can use it as an indicator as to how cured the mask is. And as you can see here, since the cutting board has a sealed surface, I can easily just now take it off, and the resin, which was liquid before, is now solid.
Yes, science!
Now let's get to the demolding. As you will see here, my hard shell is made out of 2 parts, so it's easier to get it out. Always make sure that you plan your mold before making it. So the 2 parts of the mold are just connected by nuts and bolts. You don't have to overkill it here. The 2 parts are just connected with 2 nuts and bolts. So I'll take them out. Now I can separate the 2 parts of the hard shell. As you can see, there are dents in the hard shell. These dents, you will see it on top of the silicone mold. They match those bubbles on the silicone, and they basically help to keep everything in place. And they're also used as indicators, so that when you put silicone back into the mold, it always will be in the same position. Now comes the most satisfying part. You start to loosen the silicone on the resin. I like to go around the entire mask. I like going along all the edges, loosen it up a little bit, and now I can just flip it over. There are different levels of stiffness for each silicone, and Rebound 25 is a fairly flexible silicone, so I can easily just flip it over and get the mask out. And there it is. This is always the best part of the mold making, when you get out your casting. It's so satisfying. And I mean, look at it, this is so cool. An hour ago, this was just two different liquids in a cup, and now it's a solid mask. So now I'll just take my two hard shell parts, put in my screws, get them together, screw them together, make sure everything's in place, lock them. Now you see those registration bubbles. So I'll just take the hard shell, put in the silicone. Now I just have to push the registration marks into the holes in the hard shell. Give it a little push all around to make sure everything sits tight. And due to the registration marks, I know the mask is perfectly in place and it's ready for the next casting. And also, since people have been asking me before, yes, I will make an in-depth video about the mold making process and not just the casting, because you need the mold to make the casting, I know.
Obvious.
And that's it. That's how you make your own Dragon Priest mask from Skyrim. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below and I'll try to answer them in the comments or in another video. I hope you enjoyed it and find it helpful. Give me a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to the channel because it really helps me out. See you next time.